Hey, this is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 once again. Yes, of course, Red Alert 3 being quite a fantastic game to sign into. However, it is going to be Proffloff as the Cyan Empire, not the Allies, on the left side of Infinity Isle, and on the right side of Infinity Isle as the Red Allies. I am not colorblind. I don't promise. I might be colorblind a little bit. No, as the Yellow Allies on the right side, it is going to be Lictor. And actually, we have seen both of these players quite recently on this channel, and actually don't actually remember what in the world happened. However, these two players are now going to be facing off versus each other instead of other people, which is what they were doing previously. Anyways, this dog may get taken out, and of course, Empire versus Allies. And yes, I know there has been quite a bit of Infinity Isle games being played, and it's very interesting to see if players decide to actually take down that building, just because not very often, but usually more with Soviet players, but sometimes other players as well will just run either like a Riptide or a Bullfrog on the high ground, drop, you know, Javelin Troopers or what have you into that building, and basically you get a little bit of scouting, but more importantly, if any sort of air units fly over these buildings, that one there, or this one that was over there, you know, you get a couple of free shots off. Tanks, it's just added annoyance, added defense. Both of these players are going to be grabbing their oil derricks, which, surprisingly enough, doesn't always happen. Going for that naval yard, so very interesting out of Lictor, something that we've seen Waff the Wolf do to, in some cases, great effect. Going for that Navy yard early, getting out some Riptides, and obviously that is not an original, well, actually I don't know who came up with it, but that is not an exclusive to Waff the Wolf. And it does look like Lictor is going to be heading for that center ridge, and I'm expecting to see the MCV, or at least a refinery core, get sent up to that center ridge, get those 4 bases rolling, and as Empire, really, you can push 5 bases pretty easily, but Riptide's going to be coming in, Defender VX already in place to defend, and a couple of Javelins, well, that's not quite right, Javelin soldiers are there. However, these Jet Tengus, not quite the same as Javelin soldiers. However, we do have quite a few Riptides being sent around the map, one in the center ridge, and then this one loaded, of course, up with a bunch of Javelin Troopers. I'm surprised he hasn't actually just tried to go ahead and do his damage there. He's doing damage out on the water, which he will be able to take this down pretty easily. Snipe the ore collector, and then he should be able to take it down. That ore refinery as well. Then the Vindicator coming in, doing some damage, and then the Riptide from the back, and the ejection at just the right point, and then the pickup by the other Riptide. So pretty good micro out of Lictor. He's keeping his units alive, although right here it does look like this could be the, no, actually, all of the Tengus will get completely cleaned up, even the Apollo sitting by. So Lictor has really put a lot of thought into this build, and he's also really put a lot of thought into, hey, what exactly do I want to do, which makes me think that this is not his first time doing this particular build order. He knows versus Empire especially, they are going to have Tengus. Like, no Empire player doesn't make Tengus, and anyone who's seen an Empire Mirror matchup can of course attest to that, because that's the only thing that they make is Tengus. So you know that you're going to have Tengus. What's a great way to take down the Tengus? Apollos. Really good way to take down Tengus. You need like 3 Tengus at a time to take down an Apollo, and really Proffloff could just totally engage and own that Apollo. Actually, it will escape on out of there, possibly just hitting that F key and using the return to base. It does get him, or at least it did at some point, it does get the Apollos and the Vindicators back to base just a little bit quicker, and going to be going for that oil derrick snipe, of course, meaning that Lictor will have a very slight economic advantage, as they are both on those 3 bases. 3 expansions, 3 ore nodes. Would not be surprised at all. I'm actually surprised that I haven't seen a 4th ore node out of Proffloff. He's actually going to be going for a Dojo Core. Interesting choice this far into the game that he's going to be going for rebuilding that. If he's not careful, it will get sniped, possibly by Vindicator over here, going to not actually spot that, which means no Riptides will be swinging over there at the present either. And we do have 2 Apollos, which they did get the angle on the engagement, and by that I do mean that they were able to engage first and do some damage, get some shots off before the Tengus were able to do anything. But good micro out of Proffloff means that he will lose no units, and the return to base being utilized, or at least, you know, clicking away from Lictor as well. He means that neither one of these players, neither one of them are going to actually lose any units in that engagement, as you can probably tell. But we are going to be seeing an expansion out of Lictor. This is not Lictor, this is, goodness. Who is it? Proffloff, that's who it is. He's going to be expanding, taking a 4th base, which means, Lictor, we need to be seeing something out of you, buddy. But it does look like Riptide going to be heading along the south, which means he will be going for that snipe once again, trying to get that harassment out and trying to do a little bit of damage. The Apollos will escape, and one Tengu did in fact go down. The other Tengus will swing back around, and the Tier 2 has been purchased, which means that this that Mecha Bay is just a little bit more expensive, and it will be a little bit bigger of a blow if you do take it out, something to always consider. But actually kind of walling off that refinery with an MCV, and he is going to be going for the Navy Yard, once again throwing that down just so he can produce even more Riptides, and he's not actually going to be going for the Harvester, which if you can take out the refinery, it is always, always, always better to take out the refinery. Of course, the refineries take much, much longer to kill, but that's why it's always better to kill them, especially for Empire, meaning they have to run another core out there, and it does cost an additional 500 credits. But as for the ore collectors, if you take them out, it takes like, 15 seconds or whatever, 1,400 credits or 1,000 credits if you're the allies to rebuild that. It's not that big of a deal, of course, losing the building, because sometimes you see players, I don't remember what replay it was, I don't even know if it was a game I cast, it might have been just a replay that I watched. A player rolled in with a bunch of tanks, I believe, he had a totally overwhelming force, sniped the Harvester, and then got out of there, and it's possible that you're thinking, hey, I can't see into the fog, I don't know what it is, send a tank buster, send a Imperial Warrior, send something out into the fog to see a little bit, and then take down the refinery. Just a simple point there. I don't remember what game that was, but yeah, a player, they basically, instead of going for the refinery, they decided to just take out the Harvester. And, doesn't always work out for you. Sometimes it works great, but the Chopper VX is not actually going to be doing anything right there. They do start firing on that power plant. Need to be at least going for the Harvester, if not the refinery. See, this is one of those cases where, at this point, you would think, hey, he's got Apollos, I may want to get out of there, or at least, kind of play it safe. But yeah, 4 Apollos going to be able to absolutely trash any sort of Tengus, and might even be able to snipe a Chopper VX if he's careful. You don't want to just sack your Apollos, but actually crashing down there, he was able to take out a couple of the walls, do a little bit of damage to that refinery, but the Assault Destroyer is able to get in there, and will he be able to get out as well? No, he's in heavy damage mode. Oh, right there, he did run over the wall, slowed him down a little bit, but he is now in heavy damage mode. He will get taken out quite quickly, and then the Hydrofoil could run over there and try and save him with the no attack mode, but won't actually get it. And then there are 2 airfields down now, which is, of course, how he's doing all of that mass air power. So actually, Proffloff going to be in pretty good shape. He's basically got Lictor backed into this corner, and, Lictor, you might be thinking Proffloff has an advantage, but specific games have shown, I don't want to spoil anything in case anyone hasn't seen the specific Lictor game, but Lictor, he's got a bit of a fighting spirit, shall we say, but he is going to be losing completely all of his ore collectors. He's just got this one up here, and really not expanding to that water because he's had pretty solid Navy control. Maybe not anymore with the Tsunami tanks, but overall in the game, he has had solid Navy control, and not expanding out to the water could have been a big mistake, and it could be a game-costing mistake. But Lictor, like I said, he has a fighting spirit. He's not out of this yet, and he is certainly not going to be GGing out at this point. But we do have a Hydrofoil just as support because, hey, he knows, you know what? Chopper VXs, they're super annoying, and they kind of owned my Riptides last time, but this time, not going to happen, at least not with, one Hydrofoil, which one Hydrofoil would get cleaned up pretty quickly by a couple of, at least 3 Chopper VXs should be able to clean that up just fine, but 2 Tsunami tanks actually going to be the ones firing. If he splits the bombs correctly, he can do some massive damage, and he was actually able to take down both of those Chopper VXs, and actually crashes one of the Chopper VXs, helping those Tsunami tanks out just a little bit. Not that that's something you can plan for. And look at that Prospector heading out to the water, going to be setting up expansion on the water, but a couple of Tsunami tanks, not exactly what Lictor planned for, so Proffloff going to be stemming or curbing that expansion, or that harassment rather, off right there, and this command hub will go down quite quickly if the Vindicators do not get the shots off that they need to. They're not actually able to take anything out right there. They do take out the Tengu, but it does look like the command hub will go down right in a few seconds there, especially with no more Vindicators on the way. Yeah, right there, even the Apollos pull back. It is a lost cause at this point, but he should be able to snipe both of those Tsunami tanks, or at least he should be able to snipe one out. Of course, go for that heroic. Just leave the elite guy. He's not as big of a deal, but the heroic guy you definitely want to get down, and a couple of bombs on him should clean it out. Yeah, right there, and look at that, even 2 elite Vindicators as well. Going to be throwing on those nano cores. little upgrade, or not upgrade, special ability, just to get a speed boost. And he actually will not snipe, and Apollo got really close, but now that Tsunami tank does get taken out in that honorable discharge upgrade, going to be allowing a little bit of damage being done to those allied buildings. Kind of annoying, and actually the honorable discharge lent itself well to a little glitch within the game there that just recently went down. But it is going to be the cryo shot, or the cryo blast, going to be locking down a number of units here, and actually a couple of free kills. Yeah, he's going to get all of them except for maybe that tank buster, and just running your units. Proffloff, what are you doing? He just sort of threw in at least 2 more tank busters, although it didn't really matter because they were not shot down. But the Tsunami tank's just rushing in, able to do quite a bit of damage, and it does look like tank busters are going to be cleaning up some of this tech from Lictor. He's going to be losing quite a bit, although if the aircraft can get back on another bombing run, they should be able to clean up a couple of more of these Tsunami tanks, and that Tsunami tank does go down. Tsunami tank's not doing a very good job of focus firing down those multi-gunner IFVs, and one more bomb takes out that tank, that Tsunami, but there are 2 chopper VXs back here not doing anything. They're not really doing anything in the, really? Proffloff, what was the deal with that Tsunami tank? He just wasn't quite thinking that, oh hey, there's an MCV heading right for me, and now just mass Peacekeeper out of Lictor, and somehow he was able to make it work. So Proffloff is not out of this game, but well, why would he be out of this game? But Lictor is going to be trying to claw his way back into this game, as he did take significant economic damage, and he is up to 2 refineries. And it does look like Proffloff is going to be sitting pretty high and mighty on 4. Just kidding, he's actually going to be expanding right there. But the Air Forces out of Lictor, they are going to be turning around and heading back home. Just kidding, they're actually going to be heading back out. Will they be able to take down all of those chopper VXs? No, not quite, but they did escape with no casualties. So hey, exchanging no casualties for a single casualty is usually a pretty good deal. And actually, wow, this Riptide right up there could swing right over. I don't know if Lictor has actually spotted that refinery. However, this is Proffloff. Goodness names, for some reason, I just cast a game by this guy, and I cannot remember his name. So, but more Vindicators going to be heading out. What in the world are they going to be going for? Looks like not actually going to really be going for anything. He doesn't actually want to commit to anything, doesn't want to actually drop his bombs. He can, of course, run out to the water, not a bad idea, and he is not actually going to be able to kill that ore collector. But yeah, of course, the chopper VXs, if they try and transform to, you know, travel over the water, they won't be able to actually do anything, although right now that would be an excellent opportunity. Not anymore because of those Apollos coming back. So might actually want to bring the Apollos over here, or bring the Riptide over here, just because, nope, never mind. The chopper VXs are actually heading to the center ridge. This Tsunami will be able to clean up this, or at least chase away that Riptide. Riptide should be able to escape right there. Yeah, the angle's not quite good enough for that Tsunami tank, but the Apollo is going to be heading on back home, and then more aircraft, 5 Vindicators in total. Are they going to be going for this refinery? He could just go and totally take it down, and he gets the timing so perfect. Lictor, vicious timing on those Vindicators. I don't know if that was intended, like if he was intentionally going to wait until the ore collector was collecting, or was dropping its ore off right there, because, you know, then you kill the ore collector and you do massive splash damage to the building itself. And actually, Proffloff needs to go ahead and rebuild that ore collector, or just sell off that refinery, but honestly, he doesn't need to rebuild that ore collector. Another bombing run, just a couple of bombers could head over there and take it down, but they are going to be swinging over on the south side of the map, and really, we need to be seeing something out of Proffloff. He's going for the ground army, and he's going to try and win just by sheer power, which he very well may be able to do, although if the MCV is good enough, taking over quite a few of those tank busters and the Vindicators, I can't wonder if that was the best move, but this MCV is vicious. Lictor, how do you do it? He was able to do massive amounts of damage to Proffloff's army, and is he going to get the reverse move as well? No, he isn't going to quite get any more crushes. Proffloff is paying a bit too much attention. His micro just a little bit too good there to let that happen. But they should be able to take down the armor facility, and at this point, Proffloff needs to get out of there, or he needs to just do massive damage, which seems kind of silly. But Lictor not really engaging with all of his forces. He's confident that he can take this down with just a few forces, splitting up his infantry, and then, of course, chasing away those tanks. with a single Peacekeeper, and Proffloff going to probably try and take down that ore refinery, or he could just let it be, but one more Tsunami tank going to be trying to run over some infantry. Good micro out of, good control out of Proffloff, able to take down 4 Peacekeepers, 5, and he does get number 6, so he needs to run on out of there. This Tsunami tank, you served your purpose, now get out of there. The tank busters could be escaping at this point as well, and the single Vindicator might be able to take down that Tsunami tank. Not quite able to do it, but a couple of Riptides will be able to lock down that expansion once again. And these 2 tank busters, are they going to be able to do anything? They need to get out of there and get away from that Peacekeeper. But yeah, Proffloff could have definitely come out a little bit further ahead in that engagement. I'm not entirely sure who's ahead. Proffloff has definitely had an economic advantage basically the entire game, and he's just now getting that ore collector online. He will probably lose this ore refinery. He doesn't have a whole lot left after that engagement. He threw a lot of units away, and the engagement wasn't necessarily the best for him. He lost 4 or 5 tanks to the MCV, which is not quite unprecedented, but it's definitely not something you see every day, and you really got to be careful versus Lictor and his MCV. So Lictor and the MCV of Doom, or the MCV of something. That MCV is more terrifying than even a Mirage tank or an Athena cannon under the control of Lictor, and just vicious splitting of those Vindicators, allowing him to completely eliminate all of those Tsunami tanks, and there is not a whole lot left. We got, you know, like 7 tank busters there, and 4 Tsunami tanks, and a Jet Tengu, so ordinarily, that seems like quite a bit. That's a fair-sized force. You don't have a whole lot of anti-infantry, but they're actually going to be trying to take down that one tank buster with nothing but anti-vehicle fire. But oh man, and even the Vindicator viciously just bombing those guys in their little foxholes. Just an elite Vindicator, and this Tengu might even not get sniped by those Apollos because he did transform just in time, but going hit for hit with Lictor at this point may not be the best option. He really does need to do a bit more damage. If he actually transforms, that would be absolutely terrible. He's going to be trying to swing around the north side of the island with these Tsunami tanks, bring them in, at least take out the expansion, and then start heading into kind of the unprotected main where the MCV isn't. It'll take the MCV another, well, actually, if he engages here first, it'll take the MCV will have plenty of time. But Lictor going to be re-engaging down there, and actually he's evened up the economic footing almost exactly. If it wasn't for... Oh, wait, nope, never mind. That Prospector is back online, which means, yeah, it's going to be 3 versus 3 in terms of... No, wait a second, yeah. 3 versus 3 in terms of refineries for these players, which means the economic footing, never mind, is almost equal, as these players are just going hit for hit and taking all sorts of stuff out. And the Vindicators, good control, and Proffloff still able to keep control of his Tsunami tanks. As you can see, the nano machines running around there, repairing those tanks, and also boosting their health. It boosts their armor, and then it like doubles their health. And so that was really good control out of Proffloff, switching just the tanks that needed it, just to get them a little bit more repair, and he still had a single tank firing the entire time. A lot of times, people just group all their tanks together and then they just hit F, which in this sort of situation where there's so many Vindicators would be a really good choice, but it was good that he didn't do that earlier and he was able to take down that refinery. But completely eliminating all of those Tsunami tanks, leaving the army of Proffloff looking not too great. I mean, we've seen this unit combination out of Proffloff previously. These Tank Busters, Tsunami, and then Striker VX, and it hasn't worked out any of the times, which is why, even though he's got a fair-sized army, like that's not a great army, but that's not a terrible army. I've certainly engaged with wars, but on the other hand, it's just, we've seen, how many times have we seen that same unit composition and those same numbers engage Lictor, and somehow Lictor comes out ahead? And it's just like, even with the harassment that, you gotta hand it to Proffloff. He's been doing a great job harassing basically this entire game. A couple of Tengus here, a couple of Tengus there, and look at that, he gets the kill and he gets both of his Tengus taken out, but he gets the kill and then he, you know, he's done his harassment. He takes out refineries like crazy. He did a good job expanding. He's played a pretty good game, but Lictor just too good to be held down by it, and he's just coming out ahead in these engagements, getting mad amounts of kills and actually able to snipe a Vindicator there, so Lictor will not be too happy about that, but Proffloff will be absolutely ecstatic about that. Maybe not ecstatic, but once again, we got this ore collector. Get yourself an extra 250 credits, you know, throw him into there and then mix him into your army. At least he'll absorb a couple of shots, and you didn't really have to spend any money on it because it came free with the ore refinery. But yeah, get yourself that extra 250 credits, and then, you know, and then send him off to the front line. Send him into glory and battle. And this final engagement will most likely declare who is actually going to win, because if Lictor wins this, he'll roll on in, and if Proffloff wins this, which is the forces are getting greatly spread out because of that harvester and because of that refinery. So if Lictor wins this, he's going to be able to roll on through, but he actually pulled back, so I guess he wasn't all that interested in it. Maybe he's just hoping to win with sheer air power, and this is officially going to be an all-in because the MCV has been sold off, which basically means it's an all-in. Does he actually have, are there just Tsunami tanks? I was thinking maybe he had a 7 transport disguised as a Tsunami tank, but this attack will get spotted by those Apollos. They definitely did see the edge of the attack group there, and the Vindicators are just going to be chilling on the north side there. 6 Vindicators in total, but 6 Striker VXs in total as well. And it does look like Tsunami tank's going to be rolling down, but oh, he's actually going for that observation post, so that is definitely a weird choice. But the Riptides do swing in there, and with the Cryogeddon, we're able to do massive damage, taking out the Mecha Bay. And look at that, the control out of Lictor, taking out the Mecha Bay, taking out the refinery, and then taking out the other refinery, leaving this as a really do-or-die situation for Proffloff, which he partially put himself in that situation by selling that MCV, and now just the Russian, he's going to try and get the infantry, and completely blocked by the tank placement of Lictor, and now the MCV rolling into battle and trying to crush, but the micro out of Proffloff is too good, switching those tank busters over, but now just leaving them for dead is not the right choice, and he needs to get in there so that they can do anything. They're just going to get divided and crushed. The Peacekeepers taking out the tank busters, and the Guardian tanks will be able to deal with that few amount of Tsunami tanks, and the one chance is the Chopper VXs, but with so much anti-air in the form of those in the multi-gunner turret, will be enough to take this down. Where are the Apollos? They are all dead, I guess. No, they're just around rolling up, which means it is going to have to be GG. There's no way Proffloff can come back out of this unless he has an army of engineers waiting off screen that I just can't see. Proffloff has been defeated after playing an absolutely awesome game. This game has got me spitting all over my screen. Lictor, how did you do that? Goodness, Proffloff, how did you do that? That game was absolutely awesome in so many ways. Great control by both of these players, and even 222 in terms of the time, and it is going to be that's not what we care about. 102,000 versus 89,000, so 13,000 credits of difference between Lictor and Proffloff, which is exactly what you see there. That's a pretty significant gap. 13,000, that's not that big of a deal. That's not a huge deal, but that is enough of a deal over a 20-minute game. Goodness, I just suddenly got like super burpy. But that is a big enough deal over that game to really make a difference, and Proffloff just not able to make it happen in this particular game. Absolutely awesome performance by both of these players. GG. I hope you enjoyed it because I did. This is Sybert signing out.